So I'm here with Kenny. Kenny, how are you?
I'm doing all right. It's warm out today.
That's a good thing. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from?
I'm from Dover, Delaware. It's the capital of the first state, and it's quaint. It has its problems, but the population, anywhere in the state, even our biggest city, is under 1 million. So Philadelphia was definitely
Way bigger than what you used to.
Yeah. Everything in the city shocked me when I first came here.
Yeah.
My parents never took me to the city. My first experience in the city was actually me and my girlfriend, just driving up here. So, a lot of things I experienced firsthand.
How long have you been in Kensington?
I've been in Kensington since 2020, the pandemic.
Have you been homeless since you got here?
Yeah, I've been homeless the entire time. I was homeless in Delaware, but it was obviously better in the suburbs. I was tracking back and forth, and it was a long trip through public transportation. So I lost my guard one time and got robbed, and that's how I ended up being broke up here.
Yeah. Where's your family at? Do you have any local or?
No local family. What had happened during the pandemic was I was in jail. I had violated my probation, and the pandemic had shut down the factory that all my family worked at, and so they all relocated across the country. And when I came out of jail, everybody had left. So that's why, sometimes I think, my girlfriend, she's got a place to go back to, but I kind of forget sometimes that my family's not, Delaware's not my home anymore.
Is that painful to come to
Yeah,
that realization? Or?
It's not painful, but it's definitely something when you really just sit down and think about it that, like my childhood home, it was always nice, even being a drug addict, being homeless, to be a bus ride away from, support. And, I could always call them, but it's not the same when, they're 1,000 miles away,
Yeah. What first got you introduced to drugs? How old were you?
My father introduced me to drugs. I was actually fed Percocet. My father had this whole idea that he was going to get all the kids, me and my brother, from my mom and get child support from her. And so he was always fighting in court to try and get us. And they had decided one time, Wednesday night, we would go there. So they would take the track after school. He'd pick us up from school. We'd stay at his house, and then he would take us to school in the morning. Well, Dad, we stayed up all night, drank, whatever, had fun. And, we started sleeping in school, so he wanted us to go the fuck to sleep at night. And I remember him giving me a quarter of a pill. And it's the same exact feeling you get, when I came across Percocet down the line. So, I've always been a drug addict. Like, I don't know what it's like to not be a drug addict.
Did you and him get high together frequently, or was that like a one-time
I was
thing?
so young that it wasn't a thing. I knew I was 9, I was just a kid trying to spend time with his dad, and he was trying to make money off me, and if I was sleeping in school, he couldn't, they wouldn't, give him, so he, I guess, gave me Percocet to try and get me to sleep. And I don't really, when you have somebody dies, it's just dead. You don't, there's no, what's the word for it? Closure.
Yeah.
So things like that, I don't really, I don't know how to feel about it.
He died?
Yeah, he died when, actually a year after all that was happening.
So he died when you were like 10?
Yeah. That was a very turbulent time, and then my stepfather actually got terminally ill, and
Were you close to him?
Yeah, it was a strained relationship that was hard, but I always had respect for him.
Was he using drugs too? Or?
I couldn't tell you. He was always one of them men that kept a very private life. Went to work every day, and you didn't really know it. I know he smoked weed, and but I don't think so. But he definitely abused his pain pills when he got sick. He had got something, disease or something like that, pancreatic cancer or something.
Sure.
And he had, Vicodin, Dilaudid, and I was stealing them from him, 11, 12, and so that's where it had continued from my father, and that's when I had learned that that's what I was using. I was using opiates. My father was giving me opiates, and I continued to abuse and steal pills from him till I was about 18, and then heroin came along. This is around 2012, right when the epidemic was starting. That's why I don't understand why everybody doesn't give us just a little bit of a break, like how everybody gives everybody from the 80s a break for doing cocaine. Like, it was just the time, like it was okay to do cocaine during that. Like, it wasn't like how they think about heroin now. Like, that we grew up in the center of the heroin epidemic. Like,
It was just
we were at-risk kids growing up in the center of the heroin epidemic. It was very highly that we were going to try heroin, and nobody gives us that break. That everybody always says about shit. Oh, it was the time. It was the time. Well, that's how it is now. That's the time we live in.
Do you think that if your father had never given you that first Percocet, do you think that kind of set the trajectory for everything, or do you think you would have stayed away from drugs?
I definitely think things could have been different, 100%. Yeah. But who knows?
Yeah. Who introduced you to heroin?
My friend, my best friend at the time. Trying to buy Percocet, and
Too expensive?
nah, he just, he was supposed to come by with some perks. And when he came by, he had dope. And, everything was good then, we were, pedaling off on the side, buying doing whatever we could to make a little bit of money. We were working, we were still young, everything was okay. So, you give stuff away, so, he gave me a bag, and it was off to the races.
Do you worry, like nowadays, everything's cut with fentanyl? Do you worry you're going to overdose?
Here's the problem with that, is I'm scared to get clean, because that's when overdose becomes real. When you're using it, like, there's really no chance of overdose. I mean, like, that's when people overdose, is when they get clean and they come back to it.
And try to pick up where they left off.
Yes, like, there's no using fentanyl without a prior opioid tolerance. So, like, if, like when I came out of jail one time, literally, my girl was doing dope, and I touched her tin, I overdosed.
Wow. Have you ever been hit with Narcan?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was hit 7 times that time.
Wow.
And I remember getting up, and my throat literally had bled from them spraying me. So, it was so raw for so long. It was. I remember it so vividly. And, I was trying to, I didn't do any. I just, that's how strong it is.
Yeah.
Just touching it.
Yeah.
Inhaling it, being around it.
How's the violence out here? Prevalent?
Terrible. I actually got stabbed in the face. Crazy, missed my eye at the Allegheny Station.
What was that over?
I believe the guy was trying to rob me. He did the whole, like, something in his shirt thing. Obviously, it was a knife.
Like he had a gun?
Yeah, it was a knife. He stabbed me with it. But as soon as he did that, I immediately went, attacked him. And we were on the stairs at Allegheny. So we tumbled down the stairs, and when we had fell, first he stabbed me in the back of the head, and then when we stood up, he stabbed me in the face. They said, I guess he was trying to rob me, but when he stabbed me in the back of the head, I don't know what he hit, but it numbed me. Like, still from, like, here back, it's all cold. Like, cold to the touch, all of it.
And you had said somebody tried to rape you?
Yes, actually, that was right behind us.
What happened with that?
South Philadelphia is a very flamboyant area. And, I always tell everybody, aim before you shoot. And I'm a panhandler, that's how I make my money, so I pretend to be gay. And, that I'm fleeing my abusive boyfriend or whatever, and I go panhandle in the gay part of the city. So it was late one winter. I was coming up here trying to get out of my skinny jeans. It was raining, and I assumed the guy was coming up there to take a pee. But no, he wasn't trying to take a pee. And then he proceeded to try and push me down, and I had skinnies on, trying to get changed. If this wouldn't have been the place and there wouldn't have been people all around to help, yeah, I don't think that would have been a good night for me.
Do you have any, like, is it somebody you've seen before, or do you have any idea who it was?
Fat Mexican. That's like, he was behind me.
Yeah.
And I never, I was just trying to get away.
Gotcha.
Like, you don't, like, I don't know how to describe a situation like that. Like, it's just panic. It's really just panic.
Yeah.
Fight for your life situation. Yeah, like, especially like caught with my pants down, literally. Like, I was trying to get changed, and you know how it is trying to get pants over shoes and shit. It's just, it was definitely. But if you put yourself in the situation, yeah, definitely a violent place.
What's the craziest thing you've seen out here?
Craziest thing I've seen. I think the craziest thing out here is the fact that nobody calls out when people do weird shit. Like, the fact, like everybody robs people when they fall asleep, and then everybody watches them. Like, they're together on it. And the fact that nobody calls people out on the weird shit that they do is, like, just weird,
Mind-boggling.
Yeah, because where I'm from, when people do weird shit, you tell them, like, hey, man, like, that's not, like,
that's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't, it's just a whole different culture. And,
have you ever seen any kind of open-air drug market like this before you got here? Like,
no,
how this is?
No.
It's pretty wild out here.
It's lawless.
Yeah.
That's actually the word for it. It's lawless, 100%.
Do they have any issues with kids stepping on needles or anything like that, or? Because I see them all over the ground.
I
anybody
think
stepping on
it's
needles?
everybody,
Yeah.
stepping on needles. I don't understand how anybody could be without shoes. But yeah, I think that it's definitely a hazard. All across the board, just there being people, like with the open wounds, and it's very possible to just sit down and catch AIDS here. Seriously.
Do you feel like there's anything that can be done to fix this, or do you feel like it's too far gone?
Oh yeah, I definitely think it's fixable, for sure.
What do you think the solution would be, or where to start?
Where to start would be to come together, because I really feel like it's a clash, like even against everybody. It's a free-for-all. Everybody's against everybody, and it really makes it so, like, okay, for instance, like they have these outreach people. You ever seen them before? They're like people that work for like insurance companies and stuff like that. And sometimes they're around here and they go ask if like people need services or help or stuff like that. But then they call the police on you. So
for what? Loitering?
Yeah, like when you're loitering in like let's say the train station. So instead of like just having the police come and like check the stations all day long, they have outreach, and they're just like people that there's people. And they come and they ask you if you need any services, like would you like us to call a homeless shelter, stuff like that, if you need any information. They're useless, trust me, they don't have any information, but that's what they're trying to sell, theoretically. And then they, kick you out. They call the cops. So like to us, like if you're in cahoot, like how does that make us feel comfortable? I think that would be the first thing, is being comfortable with each other and working together. There just is no working towards anything if you're against each other.
Sure.
People seem to forget that not all of us want to be drug addicts. It's just who we are, and like we would change it if we could. Like we tried. I'm sure everybody has. Like it just, that's not the world we live in. Like.
What's your biggest fear about being out here?
Just, nobody knowing what happened to me if something does. I think that's the biggest fear everybody has. You know, if something did happen to you, you'd want at least somebody yeah, or you know, yeah, that's such a fucking fucked up ending. Like, you know, we're all living our lives, you know, our book, our story, you know, how short, long, great, or whatever. Nobody wants it to end like that, you know?
Yeah.
Just uncertainty, like when just for instance, like when a TV show, like your favorite TV show just ends, like it doesn't ever have like a second season, or like they didn't plan on it, plan on it ending. So, you know, it's like that, you know, nobody wants a show to end like, you know?
Yeah.
And, I think that's everybody's biggest fear in life, you know?
In a perfect world, how would your show end? Or how would it continue?
I think, well, material stuff is, it doesn't come with you. The only way to have, you know, you live on the future is with memories you leave in people. So I think to have people left behind that will remember you. I think that's, you know, how I'd like my story to end, you know.
Before we wrap it up, you know, if there's kids watching this, teenagers, etc., what would your message to them be?
Say no to drugs. There's just no middle ground. It's in the, whether it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. I'd probably say I'd rather to have never loved at all. Once.
It's like a domino effect.
Yeah. It's just better. Drugs aren't good. They're just not. Especially, it's the situation around it, like fentanyl, xylazine. It's just, you can't. There's no making it work.